I had a wonderful childhood. I lived on a ranch in Bearmouth until I was about 10, 11 years old. Had my own horse. I got to do my own chores, was into the farm work, loved every bit of it. Being a cowboy was all it was about. And when I was a little boy, I always had a pair of cowboy boots and a cowboy hat. And I was quite a roper before I was even in grade school. I was pretty good at roping chickens. Mom had a lot of fried chicken on Sunday. When I was about 18, 19 years old, my dad tried to give me the talk. And I said, "Don't worry, Dad." He was stumbling over his words, and he was like, "Don't worry, Dad, I already know what all that is, you know." So by the time I was about 23, life was starting to get a little complicated. I called him up on the phone, and I said, "Remember that talk we were going to have when I was 18? And he says, "Yeah." And I says, "What were you going to tell me?" He goes, "Well, before you nod for the gate, make sure you got both feet in the stirrups." So I figured that's some of the best advice I ever got from my rodeo days. In other words, be ready for everything you're doing. Preparation is all what it's about. The song Sand Basin, the poem itself is written by my dad. And he's been gone 3 years now. But he wrote it about 10 years ago, I think, and I never even knew about it. My sister gave me a copy of it. And she says, "Mom wanted to know if you could put some music to this song, the Sand Basin." And I'm like, "Is that the poem that Dad wrote about going on his cattle drive?" And she said, "Yeah." So anyway, a couple days later, she got it to me, and I took it home. And I read it, and I automatically felt the rhythm for it. It was just do, 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 just kind of in your head thing. And all of a sudden, I picked up my guitar, and I didn't even think about what chord to play, and all of a sudden, it was just coming out. And it's the cattle drive that my dad used to take up to Sand Basin. And that was his biggest joy in his life, and his best legacy, I think, is leaving that poem. My father was a cowboy, and he loved trail rides, he loved horses, he loved anything about ranch life. You'd never seen him without his cowboy hat or western shirt. And I got some pictures here of some of the trail riding. He wrote a poem about Sand Basin. And Chris Johnson, her and her husband own the ranch, the Tuning Fork Ranch in Hall, Montana, where my brother-in-law works, my sister Judy there. And Dad, one of his favorite activities was trailing the cattle up to Sand Basin. Thank you, Dad. All the places in this creation, there's one place like heaven I found. It's a place in the hills called Sand Basin. There's no more peaceful place around. Now every summer around the 1st of July, we cuts out and starts a bunch of cattle and strings them out down the highway, riding the best horse we can saddle. We heads them out towards Sand Basin, and as the calves tag along, there ain't any need chasing. They will be in cow heaven for long. In a few days we make it to the basin. The grass is almost knee-high. They bob their heads and go a-grazing. It's peaceful and quiet, not a cloud in the sky. Our horses are tired, the dogs are a-panting, so we strips off their saddle and rigging. Let them roll and go to feeding. Ain't no place in the world quite so refreshing. We'll spend the summer in paradise. The cows, my horse, my dog, and me. We'll fix up the camp and make it real nice. Then we'll saddle up and take a look-see. We'll send some into Sand Basin, put a few in that lost meadow I found. Do our best to keep the bulls working and keep salt in all the salt ground. They will spread into Fox Meadows, might ride up to Signal Brook, take a few into Bowles Creek Meadow, and my horse and dog and me will have us a talk.
We'll talk about how peaceful and quiet it is up here, and the dog will check out a squirrel. My hoss grazes and stays real near. I'll lay back and enjoy the tranquil. Come fall, they will come help gather. Bunch of buckaroos from down at the ranch. There's Randy and Calvin and Butch the head herd. They bring in their horses, some horns and some hooch. Of all the places in this creation, there's one place like heaven I found. It's a place in the hills called Sand Basin. There's no more peaceful place around.
Mom had a big old upright piano, and she had all this music, and she'd bang away on that piano, and all of us kids would be sitting around behind her singing. And I think that's probably where the roots of that's where the seeds were planted for me to play my music the way I do. When you got horrible bad things going on and you're all stressed out and you're worried, but when we're standing around playing and Mom's playing that, you don't got a care in the world. It's how happy you could be. I remember those times. That's that happiness, the love, and so grateful for what we got. We always prayed before we ate dinner. We always sat at the table to eat dinner. Wait till your dad gets here. But that family time, I think, was probably one of the greatest things that I can say that I've had in my life. And being raised with 5 other siblings, it's not easy in this world anymore to have that many kids that all eat together at once. And even to this day, with my mom still alive, we try to have that tradition where we all get together and eat. And it's at a table, having dinner. My mom's biggest things were how to get by with what we got. My one song that I've got, it says that homemade bread and hand-me-downs were just a couple of our favorite joys. And I remember we'd get a box of hand-me-downs from somebody and like that. Oh, you'd think my sisters had gone to Walmart or some big fancy store. And then, of course, we had to make do with what we got. I remember we had chickens, we had beef and everything like that, you know. And Mom made her own homemade bread. And I could, you know, and of course there were 6 of us kids, so loaf bread didn't last very long. But I'll never forget my mom when she'd get that loaf bread. She'd have 3 or 4 in the oven, you know, and she'd be pulling out, and I'd come in the kitchen, she'd pull off an end of it and put some butter on there and hand it to me. And that was some of the best food I ever ate in my life. I don't have very much money, but I feel richer than a lot of people sometimes because I'm satisfied with what I got, and that's what my mom gave to me, I think.
The other day I was talking to my mama on the phone, and she said, "Son, your daddy and my biggest regret is we didn't have enough money raising you kids. I wished we'd had more. Daddy, he worked hard. Mama, she worked hard too, trying to raise us kids. They had plenty. Working cows and fixing fence from sun up to sundown, feeding chickens and milking cows, always feeling duty bound. We always had each other, and Mama, she soothed our fears. She taught us how to play and laugh, and was there to wipe our tears. We laughed and loved with little care. A stick was my favorite toy. Homemade bread and hand-me-downs were just a couple of our favorite joys. They worked hard for what we got, just to get us through the day. When I think about it, money would have been in the way. My daddy taught us how to work. Mama taught us how to love. We always seemed to have enough, always thanking God above. Later on in our life, when it was time to leave home, we remembered what they taught us when we were on our own. We laughed and loved with little care. A stick was my favorite toy. Homemade bread and hand-me-downs were just a couple of our favorite joys. They worked hard for what we got, just to get us through the day. When I think about it, money would have been in the way. We laughed and loved with little care. A stick was my favorite toy. Homemade bread and hand-me-downs were just a couple of our favorite joys. They worked hard for what we got, just to get us through the day. When I think about it, money would have been in the way. I'm so grateful for what they taught us, and I'm here to always say, when I think about it, money would have been in the way. Money would have been in the
I've always loved being a cowboy, and I never fit in with hippies or bikers or any of the other guys, you know. I never despised them, you know, because they like what they're doing, you know. But I don't know if I'd feel comfortable in a three-piece suit riding around in a limousine, you know. If I could wear blue jeans and a hat, I'd be a little bit feel better about that. I probably have a couple hundred songs. I have a pretty good variety. It's pretty much along the folk country, but I kind of get into a little bit of light rock and roll, but what's with a country flavor. And I really like Willie Nelson. I like Hank Williams, but I like a lot of the newer artists too. And it's kind of my own interpretation, my own thing. My big thing is I like to be able to do finger picking, and I like to do that true thing, but I also like to get down and do some honky tonk. I like to think that my audiences are more of the older generation, but I've got some of my songs that some of the younger people like to listen to too. And of course they're more country. 40 years old, I was disabled and I couldn't ride a horse anymore. And now that I can play the guitar, I can't ride a horse, but I can sing about riding a horse now. And when I'm singing in the middle of one of those songs, it's almost like being there again. So like some of those songs like I say, Ghost Riders in the Sky, it's about riding a horse. I'm back on a horse. And that gallop you hear on my guitar is coming along with my horse galloping. And cowboys love slow, sad ballads or honky-tonk music. And of course, this is what I grew up listening to, is a lot of these are my favorite songs that I'm singing. If I'm gonna sing to you, I'm gonna sing to you from my heart. It's gonna be genuine. I'm not gonna sit there and try to impress you with my music. If anything, I'm gonna impress you with how happy I am that I get to perform for you. And I think that happiness is as honest as you can find of God's love, because when you can portray that, it's contagious and people feel that. When people try to pretend to be happy, you can't pull that off. So I found out that if I'm not happy, I can't play my guitar. But then all I have to do is pick up my guitar and it just makes me happy. So it's real. But it's genuine happiness, I think, is what I like to be able to give to my audience. all day with the ending.
Beethoven goes on forever to try to end the song. It ends about 10 times.
Thank you, everybody. A campfire, some coffee, from a tin cup in my hand. It sure warms the fingers when it's cold. I'm playing an old guitar, a friend I understand. It sure smooths the wrinkles in my soul. Sleeping in the moonlight, a blanket for my bed. It leaves a peaceful feeling in my mind. Waking up in the morning with an eagle overhead makes me want to fly away before my time. And I think God must be a cowboy at heart. He made wide open spaces from the start. He made grass and trees and mountains and a horse to be a friend and trails to lead old cowboys home. Nightlife and big cities, it's alright for a while. It sure makes you feel good when you're there. But the country's so pretty, it goes on and on for miles. Takes away my troubles and my cares. And I think God must be a cowboy at heart. He made wide open spaces from the start. He made grass and trees and mountains and a horse to be a friend and trails to lead old cowboys home again. And trails to lead old cowboys home again. Thank you very much. Here's what everybody always wants to hear. One of my favorite songs. So. Ever since the days of old, men would search for wealth untold. They'd dig for silver and for gold and leave the empty home. Way down south in the Everglades, where the black water rolls and the sawgrass waves, eagles fly and the otters play in the land of the salmon. Blow, blow, Seminole wind, blow like you're never gonna blow again. I'm calling to you like a long lost friend, but I don't know who you are. Blow, blow from the Okeechobee all the way up to me Canopy. Blow across the home of the Seminole, the alligator and progress came and took its toll, and in the name of flood control, they made their plans and they drained the land. Now the glades are going dry. Last time I walked in the swamp, I stood upon a cypress stump I listened close and I heard the ghosts of Osceola cry. Blow, blow, Seminole wind, blow like you're never gonna blow again. I'm calling to you like a long lost friend, but I don't know who you are. Blow, blow from the Okeechobee all the way up to me Canopy. Blow across the home of the Seminole, the alligator and the gold. Blow, blow, Seminole wind, blow like you're never gonna blow again. I'm calling to you like a long lost friend, but I don't know who you are. And blow, blow from the Okeechobee all the way up to me Canopy. Blow across the home of the Seminole, the alligator and the gold. You get a line and I'll get a pole, honey. You get a line and I'll get a pole, baby. You get a line and I'll get a pole, well, I'll go down to the fishing hole, honey, sugar baby. Yonder come a man with a sack on his back, honey. Yonder come a man with a sack on his back, baby. Yonder come a man with a sack on his back, packing all the crawdads he could pack, honey, sugar baby. Man fall down and he bust his sack, honey. Man fall down and he bust his sack, baby. Man fall down and he bust his sack. Hey, look at them crawdads back to back, honey, sugar baby. What are you gonna do when the lake goes dry, honey? What are you gonna do when the lake goes dry, babe? What are you gonna do when the lake goes dry? I'll sit on the bank and watch crawdads die, honey, sugar baby. What are you gonna do when the crawdads die, honey? What are you gonna do when the crawdads die, babe? What are you gonna do when the crawdads die? I'll sit on the bank until I cry, honey, sugar baby. Crawdad sitting on a riverbank, honey. Crawdad sitting on a riverbank, baby. Crawdad sitting on a riverbank. He's picking his teeth with a 2x4 plank, honey, sugar baby mine. Look at that crawdad crawling around, honey. Look at that crawdad crawling around, baby. Look at that crawdad crawling around. He's the mayor of Crawdad Town, honey, sugar baby mine. Well, I heard the duck say to the drake, honey. I heard the duck say to the drake, babe. I heard the duck say to the drake, there ain't no crawdads in that lake, honey, sugar baby mine. Honey, sugar baby mine. Thank you. And then I got to play my auctioneer song because everybody wants to hear it all the time. There was a boy in Arkansas that would listen to his ma when she told him that he should stay in school. He'd sleep away in the afternoon and take a little walking. Pretty soon you'd find him at the local auction bar. He'd stand and listen carefully, and pretty soon he began to see how the auctioneer could speak so rapidly. He said, "Oh my, it's do or die, I've got to learn that auction cry, make my mark and be an auctioneer. I got a $25 bill, $30, $30, 40, will you give me 30, make it 30, bid it on a $30, who's gonna bid it at a $30 bid? I got a $30 bid it on a 35, will you bid it on a 35, bid it on a 35, who's gonna bid it at a $35 bid? As time went on, he did his best, and all could see he didn't jest. He practiced calling bids both night and day. His pap would catch him behind the barn, just working up an awful storm as he tried to imitate that auctioneer. Then his pap said, son, we just can't stand to have a mediocre man selling things at auction using our good name. I'll send you off to auction school, and then you'll be nobody's fool. You can take your place among the best. I got a $35 bid it on a $40, 40, will you give me 40, make 40, bid it on a $40, who's gonna bid it at a $40 bid? I got a $40 bid it on a 45, will you give me 45, make 45, bid it on a 45, who's gonna bid it at a $45 bid? Well, from that boy that went to school, there grew a man who played it cool, came back home a full-fledged auctioneer. And the people came from miles around just to hear him make that rhythmic sound that filled their hearts with such a happy cheer. His fame soon spread from shore to shore. He had all he could do and more. He had to buy a plane to get around. Now he's the tops in all the land. Let's pause and give that man a hand. He's the best of all the auctioneers. I got a $45 bid it on a $50, 50. Will you give me 50, make it 50, bid it on a $50. Who's gonna bid it at a $50 bid? I got a $50 bid it on a 55. I sold that horse for a $55 bid. When my wife thinks of Walmart with that gleam in her eye, I feel like my wallet gets sold. We'll be bankrupt tomorrow, but we'll have lots of stuff from every aisle in the store. Waltz across Walmart with checkbook in and the cart that holds way too much. It rolls free and easy up and down every aisle among all those bargains and such. You can buy underwear or parts for your car, get a physic at the prescription store, get seed for your bird and food for your dog, a corset for your wife and much more. My feet hurt, my back aches as I trail her around. A lady bumped my heels with her cart. A man lives in danger in more ways than one when he takes his wife out to Walmart. Waltz across Walmart with checkbook in hand and the cart that holds way too much. It rolls free and easy up and down every aisle among all those bargains and such. Among all those bargains and such.